Hey everyone, it's Zach Beck. The volume of student loan debt has grown enormously over the last 10 years, from $830 million back in 2010 all the way to $1.6 trillion here in 2020. And now what we're seeing is that student loan debt has become the highest amount of consumer debt in the United States of America, with over 40 million Americans having some form of student loan debt. Now this far exceeds credit cards and auto loans as far as the greatest amount of money that is in debt in the United States of America. So we have a significant problem that we're facing right now. And what I want to do in this video is talk about what the different approaches are specifically by the two individuals running for president, both President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. I want to talk about their specific plans to address the student loan crisis that we are encountering here in the United States of America, and how you or I myself can make a wise decision going into the election as it relates to this specific issue. So let's jump into it right now. When it comes to student loan debt, I think it's very important for you and myself to understand who actually holds the overall note on this particular debt. And that would be the majority is the federal government. Over 90% of student loans actually are due back to the federal government as opposed to private lenders. That's generally a much smaller percentage, close to 10%. So this actual issue when it comes to student loans can be addressed by Congress. So I really want us to understand that when these two presidential candidates, both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, are specifically talking about how they would address this issue, they are talking as the head of the federal government who actually holds the note on this debt versus trying to speak on behalf of a private company. They do not have the ability to tell a private company to cancel student loans for someone else. So I just really want to make that clear right out here out of the gate. On that note, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Chuck Schumer introduced a bill that would actually cancel up to $50,000 in student loans for those who have it right now. Now this is under consideration currently by President Donald Trump, and even former Vice President Joe Biden is considering this potential proposal. Now one thing that is important to note is that their argument, both Senator Warren and Senator Schumer, state that they believe if student loans are canceled, it will stimulate the economy and allow people to move forward and achieve their goals so that way they don't have this big burden on their back. But you also will hear other people who might argue that these individuals, the students, have made a personal decision to actually take on the loan to achieve the financial obligation to that ability to actually get their degree. So I do understand the personal responsibility argument, but I also understand that people who are making this decision at the age of 18 to take on this significant amount of debt might not fully understand what they're getting themselves into, which is all the more important why we need to be very wise and have a thorough understanding of finances when we reach that age of 18, when we have the legal ability to make decisions on our own behalf because we're legal adults. But looking at this from the perspective of trying to cancel $50,000 in student loans, what I want to do is see what is currently the strategy from both President Trump and from former Vice President Joe Biden, and if this is actually realistic, they might even do so. On that note, I'd like to talk about a few of the options that President Trump has to address this particular issue. Option number one would be for him to cancel all student loan debt. Now, this particular option seems highly unlikely given his past statements and given that current Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, has not voiced support for this particular approach. So I would say that it's probably likely that President Trump is not going to cancel student loan debt. Option number two would be for President Trump to not cancel student loan debt. Now, up until this point, that has been his approach when it comes to actually addressing this particular issue. Now, for that particular case, what we're finding is that President Trump and Secretary DeVos have a preferred method of addressing this, and that is through income-driven repayment programs. And this is where you can overall reduce your monthly payments that go back to paying off your student loan debt. Now, this can be helpful to actually prevent people from having to spend too much on a monthly basis, but overall it still extends the period of time you're going to have to actually use your money to pay off this debt. Once again, I think this highlights the importance of trying to never find yourself in a situation where you owe significant forms of debt. So if you do have a student loan, once again, I'm very sorry if that's where you are right now, but I just want to let you know that hopefully there is some relief that could come down the line, and if there isn't, hopefully you can just make wise decisions right now to be able to address this in the future. Now, another action that President Trump actually took in light of the pandemic was to defer student loan payments. Now, student loan payment deferral is very different than student loan payment forgiveness. To be forgiven a loan, that means you do not owe it anymore, whereas to have a loan deferred means you still owe it, but you just owe it in the future. This particular deferral was as part of the overall executive actions that he took a number of months ago, and also there was other components of this that were built into the CARES Act, but generally speaking, student loan deferrals have been deferred past December 31st of 2020. If you are in a situation right now where you can still make payments on your student loans, I would still strongly encourage you to do so. And once again, there's that income-driven repayment program that I mentioned previously, but also we are encountering historically low interest rates that have been imposed by the Federal Reserve to help stabilize the economy. So you could even go through the process of trying to refinance your student loans by bringing your rate down. And I think that would be a very wise approach to take, especially if you do not foresee this actually changing in the future, irrespective of the presidential election. To that end, if you have the ability to make payments, but even the payments have been deferred till the end of the year, I would still strongly recommend continuing going down that road if you have the financial means to do so, because a deferral just means you're gonna have to pay something in the future. So still make sure you're tackling it, because you do not wanna grow accustomed to not having those payments coming out of your income, because you're going to be doing them later on down the road anyways. So you might be asking yourself, where does Vice President Biden stand on this particular issue of student loan forgiveness? And what he has recently stated is that he supports across the board eliminating student loans and forgiving student loans for those who make less than $125,000 on an annual basis. This is for those who attend public universities and who have received student loans from public institutions. In addition, it helps those who attend historically Black colleges and universities as well. In addition, Vice President Biden has said that he supports a $10,000 across-the-board student loan forgiveness for all borrowers. This would be both for public and for private borrowers. So that is a very stark contrast between where he and where President Trump stand on this particular issue. Vice President Biden has also said that he wants to actually make it easier for individuals who have student loan debt to actually have this taken away in instances of filing for bankruptcy. Because often if you file for bankruptcy, it's because you cannot afford to pay your bills. So he's trying to change the code, if elected president, to make it easier for actually having this discharge in a bankruptcy hearing. Vice President Biden has also said that he supports more debt-free initiatives for those who want to attend colleges and universities. So when you're looking at this from the perspective of both presidential candidates, clearly there are differences. In addition, Vice President Biden has proposed making modifications to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program that is currently instrumented by the federal government. So hopefully that would streamline the process by which people actually are able to have student loan forgiveness and try and make things a little bit less complicated. You might be asking yourself, is it realistic for either of these individuals to actually make some of these proposed changes? And the answer is yes. Technically, a president does have the ability to have executive actions and executive orders that can actually impact this. But the more powerful way to approach this would actually be through a formal bill of legislation that would go through the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and ultimately get signed by the president. So ultimately, in order for that to happen, it depends upon who is in power in all of these different areas. If you have a split approach where you would have maybe a Democratic House, a Senate that is actually controlled by the Republicans, and a Republican president, which is what we currently have, it becomes very difficult for something to get done. If maybe the House changed to all Republican and those other two institutions, the Senate and the executive, remain Republican, they could do their own thing and actually be able to push something through. And similarly, vice versa, if you had a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic president, then they could actually more easily push some of these measures through. But it's one of these things that we're seeing in our democracy, is that you have a balance of power and checks and balances across the board. So it's very difficult to actually have something significant addressed. But when you think about the magnitude of this particular issue that's impacting people like yourself when it comes to who has student loans in the United States of America that is preventing them from moving forward financially and achieving their personal goals, it is incumbent upon our elected officials to try and do something about it. So now that we have a clear understanding of where both President Trump and Vice President Biden stand on this particular issue, I hope that it provides you with a framework and understanding so you can make a well-informed decision that is in alignment with your particular values. Now, once again, I really want to emphasize that I'm not trying to push a specific candidate on you, a specific party on you. That is not my intention here. I never want to be seen as a partisan person who's trying to do something, because personally, I'm very, very neutral on most issues, but I also believe in the importance of being objective when it comes to these particular particular issues. So my hope is that this information helps to inform you so that way where you are right now, whatever your circumstance is, you can make a well-informed decision so that way you can not only just vote for the person who you believe would be in alignment with your values, but also from a bigger perspective, outside of trying to have an elected official try and fix all of your problems, think about things on a deeper, more personal level where you and I can make wise decisions with our finances here in the present to allow us to achieve our goals in the future. And when I talk about this, I try and bring this up just about every chance I get. When you're thinking about having a holistic view of your finances, you want to look at a couple of things. You want to do everything you can to cut costs, to save money, to not get into debt, to avoid lifestyle inflation, and to do everything that you can to invest and save into your retirement accounts so that you can actually achieve retirement and have financial stability in the present. So if you can do those different things, that will really help you avoid some of these problems. And I know you might be saying, well, Zach, I'm in this situation right now, and I understand that, and I hope that you can do everything that you have the ability to actually get out of student loan debt, to be able to move forward financially and achieve your goals. I hope this information is helpful for you, not just for the election, but also for bigger purposes when it comes to your personal finances. And feel free to check out some of my myriad of different videos that I've put together that provide you with some of the understandings of how to actually operate when it comes to our personal finances. So I really hope that this information is helpful for you. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video. That would actually really help the channel out for the YouTube algorithm, help push this video to other people who might need to hear it, because you or a friend might have a student loan debt and not really know what to do right now. And hopefully this can inform you and provide you with the tools necessary, not only to make a wise decision when it comes to this upcoming election, but hopefully some of the understandings of how you can actually go about addressing your loans right now in the present. In addition, if you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. I'd love to interact with you, get to know you, do any research on your behalf so that you can make a well-informed decision moving forward. In addition, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to myself personally, as I do everything I can to create content that has a positive impact in your life by encouraging you and myself to lead lives of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. If you do subscribe to the channel, please tap the notification bell. That will notify you every time I post a video, which I do on a weekly basis. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day.